Hello, student. This is the second part of our story, The Great Stone Face. In the first part of The Great Stone Face, we read Ernest waiting for the man who looked like Stone Face. In this part, we will find out that Ernest met that man or not. Let's start. Many years pass. Now, many years pass. Ernest was now a man of middle age. Now, Ernest was not a child, he became the man of middle age. To his neighbors, who never suspected that he was anything more than an ordinary and familiar face, he was only a humble and hardworking, though thoughtful person. And the neighbor of the Ernest thought him a hardworking, humble, kind, and ordinary man. But what about the old prophecy? Now, the prophecy which we read in the first part, what happened that prophecy? Was it ever fulfilled? Fulfill means it completed. Let us read and find out. We will read this part and we will find out. The years hurried on and brought white hairs upon the head of Ernest. The years hurried on means the time passed very quickly. Now there are white hairs on the head of Ernest. It means and made wrinkles across his forehead and furrows in his cheeks. There are wrinkles on the forehead of the Ernest and furrows mean the deep lines on his cheeks. He was an old man. It means now he was an old man, but not in vain. Had he grown old, more numerous than the white hairs on his head were the wise thoughts in his mind. In these lines, the writer wants to say that there are many thoughts in Ernest's mind than his white hairs. And Ernest has ceased to be obscure, unsought for undesired, had come the fame which so many seek. Now Ernest become very famous. He did not want to become famous, but he became famous. He had become famous beyond the limits of the valley. Now he is famous beyond the valley. Not only the people of valley know him, but famous all around. College professors and even the active men of cities came from far to see and converse with Ernest, and he received them with gentle sincerity and spoke freely with them of whatever came uppermost or lay deepest in his heart or their own. Now, college professors and active men of cities came from far to see and talk with Ernest, and Ernest received them with gentle sincerity and spoke them with freely. Whatever thought came in his heart, deep from his heart, or the but all the thoughts are Ernest's own. While they talked together, his face would brighten unawares and shine upon them as with a mild evening light. And when Ernest talked with these college professors or active men of cities, a bright light is always on his face, and it is the light of his good thought. While Ernest had been growing old, God had granted a new poet to this earth. When Ernest was becoming old, a poet born in the native valley. He too was a native of the valley. He was a native of valley, but had spent the greater part of his life in distant cities. But most of the time, he lived in the cities, pouring out his sweet music everywhere, and he was writing poems and singing them everywhere. Neither was the great stone face forgotten, for the poet had celebrated it in a poem. Nobody forgot the great stone face, as the poet described that stone face in one of his poems. The songs of this poet found their way to Ernest. Now it means Ernest also liked the poetry of that poet. He read them after his customary toil. Customary means usual or daily, toil means work. And Ernest read those poems after completing his usual work, seated on the bench before his cottage door. He sat on the door of his cottage on a bench. As he read, he lifted his eyes to the mountain. When Ernest read these poems, when Ernest read these poems, he also saw the great stone face. "O great stone face," he said, "is not this man worthy to be your likeness?" When Ernest was reading the poem of that poet, he said to the stone face, "O great stone face, this man was not worthy to be your likeness." The face seems to smile but did not answer. The stone face was seen as he was smiling, but he did not answer. Now it happened that the poet, though he lived so far away, had not only heard of Ernest, but had thought much about his character. After some time, the poet heard about Ernest. He not only heard about Ernest, but he thought much about the character of Ernest and wished to meet this man. And he wanted to meet Ernest, whose wisdom walked hand in hand with the noble simplicity of his life. So the poet wanted to meet Ernest. So one summer day, therefore, he arrived at Ernest's door, where he found the good old man holding a book in his hand. So the poet one summer day came to Ernest, and Ernest was holding a book in his hand, which he read, and then, with a finger between the leaves, looked lovingly at the great stone face. He stopped reading and he looked the stone face with love. "Good evening," said the poet. "Can you give a traveler a night shelter?" Now the poet asked Ernest to give him a shelter for a night. "Gladly," answered Ernest. It means Ernest will give the shelter to the traveler very happily. And then he added, smiling, "I think I never saw the great stone face look so hospitality at a stranger." The poet wanted to say that he had never seen so kindness or gentleness before. The poet sat down beside him, and he and Ernest talked together. Now the poet sat near the Ernest, and they start talking. Never before had the poet talked with a man like Ernest, so wise and gentle and kind. And the poet was first time talking with a man who was so wise, gentle and kind. Ernest, on the other hand, was moved by the living images flung out of the poet's mind, and Ernest was very impressed by the poet's imagination which came out from his mind. As Ernest listened to the poet, he imagined that the great stone face was bending forward to listen too. When Ernest was listening to the poet, when they were talking and he was listening to the poet, Ernest imagined that the great stone face also trying to listen to him. It was moving forward to him. He gazed into the poet's eyes. Ernest looked into the eyes of the poet and asked, "Who are you, my gifted guest?" The poet laid his finger on the book that Ernest had been reading. The poet kept his finger on the book which was Ernest reading and said, "You have read these poems," said he. "You know me, then, for I wrote them." And he asked Ernest if he read those poems. He knew him because he was the writer of those poems. Again and again, Ernest examined the poet's features. He turned towards the great stone face, then back. Now, Ernest was watching the poet again and again and trying to resemble poet's feature with the stone face. He shook his head and sighed. Now he moved his head and take a long breath. "Why are you sad?" inquired the poet. The poet asked Ernest the reason of his sadness. "Because," replied Ernest, "although life I have waited the fulfillment of a prophecy, and when I read these poems, I hope that it might be fulfilled in you." Ernest told the poet that all his life he waited the prophecy to be true, and when he read his poem, he thought the man who write these poems will look like the great stone face. "You hoped," answered the poet, faintly smiling, "to find in me the likeness of the great stone face. I am not worthy to be its likeness." Now the poet said to the Ernest, "You hope I will look like the stone face." But the poet smiled and said he was not worthy to be the likeness of the great stone face. "And why not?" asked Ernest. He pointed to the book. "Are not those thoughts worthy?" And the poet said to the Ernest that he was not worthy to be the likeness of the great stone face. Ernest asked him the reason, because the thought which he expressed in his books are not worthy for the likeness of great stone face. You can hear in them the distant voice of a heavenly song, but my life, dear Ernest, has not corresponded with my thought. But the poet said that you can hear the voice of heaven in my poetry, but my own life is not matched with these thoughts. The poet want to say that his thoughts and his life is totally different. "I have had grand dreams, but they have been only dreams." The poet want to say that his dream was very large or very fascinated, but they are only dreams. Sometimes I lack faith in my own thoughts, and he has no faith in his own thoughts. Why then, pure seeker of the good and true, should you hope to find me in the face of the mountain? Now the poet is saying, you are a true man. Then why are you finding the likeness of great stone face in him? The poet spoke sadly and his eyes were wet with tears. Now the poet was telling the truth. His eyes were filled with tears. So too were those of. There are tears in the eyes of Ernest too. At the hour of sunset, as had long been his custom, Ernest was to speak to a group of neighbors in the open air. Now, at the time of sunset, it was the habit of Ernest that he spoke to his neighbors. Together, he and the poet went to the meeting place. Now, Ernest went with the poet to the meeting place, arm in arm, to take the hand of the poet in his hand. From there could be seen the great stone face, and anyone can see the great stone face from that place. Ernest threw a look of familiar kindness around upon his audience. It means Ernest looked the audience with kindness. He began to speak to the people what was in his heart and mind. Now Ernest starts speaking to the people and he speak with the heart. His words had power because they agreed with his thoughts, and his thoughts had reality and depth because they harmonized with the life which he had always lived. And the thought of Ernest was very pure because they are the actual thought which depict his life, because he was as in his life and his thought was similar to his life. There is no mismatch in his thought and life. It was not mere breath that the preacher uttered. It means these are not only the words, they were the words of life. The words of Ernest was the words of life, a life of good deeds, and selfish love was melted into them. Ernest's life was full of good works. Ernest loved all without any selfishness. The poet, as he listened, felt that the life and character of Ernest were a nobler strain of poetry than he had ever written. When the poet heard the word of the Ernest, he thought, life and work of Ernest are more nobler than his poetry or the thought which he expressed in his poetry. His eyes filled with tears, and he said to himself that never was there so worthy a sage as that mild, sweet, thoughtful face with the glory of white hair diffused about it. Now the poet's eyes filled with tears, and he said to himself that there is nobody as worthy as whose light is spreading all around. In these lines, the poet is talking about Ernest. At a distance, but clearly to be seen, high up in the golden light of the setting sun, appeared the great stone face with white mist around it, like the white hairs around the brows of Ernest. In the light of setting sun, the great stone face appear. There is mist all around the great stone face, like the white hair around the bow of Ernest. At that moment, Ernest's face took on an expression so grand that the poet was moved to throw his arms up and shout, behold, behold, Ernest is himself the likeness of the great stone face. At the time when the poet looked at Ernest, he can't stop, he shouted, look, look, Ernest was himself the likeness of the great stone face. It means Ernest is the person who is exactly look like the great stone face. Then all the people looked and saw the what the poet said was true. After that, all the men watched that whatever the poet said, it was true. The prophecy was fulfilled. Now the prophecy was completed, but Ernest, having finished what he had to say, took the poet's arm and walked slowly homeward. But the Ernest not paid attention what the poet or the people was saying. He completed his words and took the arm of the poet and moved towards the home, still hoping that some wiser and better man than himself would by and by appear, bearing a resemblance to the great stone face. Ness was still hoping that some wiser and better man than himself will appear who resembles exactly with the great stone face. This is all about the great stone face part second. I hope you will understand the story. If you have any problem or any query, you can ask.